everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Music Boys podcast. Today I'm joined by the three other composers for the Helldivers fan film For Liberty over on the Plot Coalition YouTube channel, and it's very, very fun. Very cool that we got to work on it. And on this podcast we have all the composers, like I said, starting with Valkienyx. Del Toro, Owen Gudex, and myself. This episode has a lot of good stuff in it. I hope that you guys enjoy this episode and enjoy hearing our thought processes when we approach the score for Helldivers For Liberty, a fan film. Hey everyone, this is Carson, and welcome back to another episode of the Music Boys podcast. I'm here with some other composers of For Liberty, a Helldivers film made over on Plot Coalition on their YouTube channel. It recently, I can't remember the exact number, but it recently hit over 1.5 million views, which was pretty massive. One of the bigger things that I've gotten to work on, and I got to work with some other composers that are all very, very good at what they do. They're all here with me, and we're all going to talk about the music a little bit. So if you guys want to go down the line and kind of introduce yourselves.
Woo, music! Hi, everybody. I'm Valkienyx. My Spotify lists me as Half Step from Trash. So if you see either of those names, then that's probably made by me. I write music, and I also voice act on the side.
Well, hello, everyone. I am Del Toro. I was one of the composers that worked in the movie in For Liberty. My Spotify has me as Dindel, which to this day I don't exactly know what it means, but I'm sure it's gonna be something interesting once I figure it out. Excited to be here.
Hello, everybody. My name is Owen Gudex. I am one of the composers for Liberty, a Helldivers film, and I have been co-composing Heroes of the Galactic War alongside Carson. I just worked with Valk on a piece for that, but I'm grateful to be here, excited to talk about the process For Liberty and all that Helldivers jazz.
All the Helldivers jazz, and a little bit of Heroes, which is going to be cool as well, because I feel like the approach to that is pretty different from the movie. And I don't think I need to introduce myself. I'll do it anyways. I'm Carson Music. I am also one of the composers of For Liberty. I also make music as well, and I also work on Heroes of the Galactic War as well. But I have a question for all of us. But I was wondering how, first of all, Val, how you got introduced into music, kind of how you got into it in general. What led you to score projects like For Liberty, and kind of why you continue to do it? Like, what makes you want to keep coming back to it?
Yeah, so I got introduced to music early back in like middle school, high school. But I didn't really mess too much with like actual production until I got out of the army in 2021 off of active duty. But before that, I played the bassoon, the oboe, flute, clarinet, saxophone, and percussion, and a little bit of trumpet as well. But yeah, right after I left the army, I picked up Ableton, and I started making like silly little beats here and there. I primarily started messing with like EDM, and that's like one of the only songs that I have published on Spotify for
Sweet.
myself. But yeah, and then after that, so metal and rock have been like my favorite genres since like forever. So then I started messing with that once I found like some plugins and stuff early on because Ableton's like super cool and they give you like a billion plugins for free.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but yeah, after that, I started off as like a composer for hire, and like the first project that I actually composed for, it was a cancel game, but it
Mm.
was back in 2021, and I like got into a flow state where I like finished composing the entire song in like 8 hours, and I have no idea like how I did that, but like start to finish, it was like boom, bam.
Nice.
Uh, yeah, a total of like 8 hours. I just sat down on like a Saturday and just finished it completely. But yeah, after that, like just doing more like composer for hire stuff. So I made songs for some little projects like Avalanche, also formerly known as Too Damn Cold. It's a little Halo machinima that kind of follows like the red versus blue timeline things. And then obviously, as most creators go, there are a ton of canceled projects as well.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, I was like, nah, the juice isn't worth the squeeze too much there. So I'm just going to do this for my own enjoyment. And so, yeah, I just end up making little songs for my own fun. But I ultimately scored Killing is Our Business after finishing the voice work for Caleb and asking him, like, hey, is there anything else that I can do? And I asked him like, "Hey, can I do some sound design? Because I really like that as well." And he's like, "Oh, there's this one scene that neither Carson or Owen have gotten to, so like, go ahead and hit that one." So I was like, oh, "Okay, cool." And yeah, so the rest is history. And I made a little extended version, which now has like my most viewed video at like 6.7 thousand views or
Oh,
something like
nice.
that. Yeah.
But what about you, Diana? Was there like a certain like, I don't know, like experience or like what led you into music as well?
Well, at the very beginning, it was simply because my parents wanted me to, and I was allowed to choose an instrument to approach music first, and I chose the piano. I began playing. I began actually enjoying the piano, enjoying how to play this, and then I didn't really get into music until about 2015, I think. Yeah, it was 2015. 2015. I began playing this one game like every day of my life because I loved it, and I especially loved the music of the game. The music that would play on the map. It was an RPG. Yeah, the music that would play on the map, just hearing it, feeling the songs and whatever, and that moved me to begin actually enjoying the music. And I started by making arrangements of those songs for piano. I wound up even presenting those at my school when I was at my school, primary school, when I was there back then. And I never actually stopped making music. Like those arrangements were what my first approaches were, until one day where I was doing a grand total of nothing with my family. I grabbed my dad's phone and discovered that an app in his iPhone they called GarageBand. And that day I tried making some EDM music by like arranging the loops that were already included and whatever. And eventually I discovered that that program existed on PC, and it was even cooler. Well, not PC, Mac, but yeah.
Yeah.
And it was even cooler, and it had even more things to do, and I began experimenting on it more. And I began trying to make more songs, but still stuck mostly to EDM stuff because that was cool back then. And then my sister decided she wanted to make a game.
Oh, sweet.
Like she was making her own video game, and asked me to make the music because, hey, I know you're making music, you're trying, why not try this? But I don't want EDM because EDM doesn't work for this story and whatever. And that's when I learned that I kind of had a thing for making soundtrack music, like orchestra stuff and whatever. That was 11 years ago.
Yeah.
All throughout high school, and even when I was in college studying music production, I spent all of my time just working, learning how to make orchestral music, how to make this sound better, how to get better plugins that make the X thing sound better, like that make this one be cooler and whatever. And I eventually had a class where it was I had a class where it was about cinema or something. Just I had to share the class with other students, and they were making short films. And now I knew, and word spread that I knew how to make music. So some of the students asked me if I could make the music for their short films, and so I did. I actually gained a little bit of fame and some project right there in my college. Just I was a local celebrity in my college alone. And that's when I really began seeing making music as a career path. And after a while of trying, after a while of poking here and there, asking me, "Hey, can I work on your project? Hey, can I make your music?" Or maybe just to learn better. Eventually, I found from Plot Collision. I found him on Reddit, and I decided I saw he was making an announcement for some series he was making about Titanfall, his older project, and I asked him, could I maybe work on your show too? I'm noticing it is a community project. Can I try something? Sure, you can make the intro song for the series. Just make it like the one for Arcane. So yeah, tall order. But I made it. It worked. It was really freaking fun, and that opened me the chance to work in For Liberty when the time for that came too. So that's where we are.
Sweet. What about you, Mr. Owen?
Alrighty. Okay. So, where to start? Let's think. Okay,
The
got
very
it.
beginning.
Yeah, the very beginning. So when I was a wee little lad, my parents were really trying to like help me this was like when I was like a toddler, let's say. Like I was like trying to experiment with like different activities. Like my parents had me try like baseball, and my parents had me try like basketball, and just like trying to like see what I take interest in and what I end up getting into. um there was a day then, well, we had this old piano in our green room in our house that we never used it. And then there was a day where I was watching Pirates of the Caribbean, The Curse of the Black Pearl.
Nice.
Great movie, by the way. So I was watching it, and the theme was just like stuck in my head. I didn't know how to like, I couldn't put it into words because I was a little guy, and I was like, how do I like put a song into words than just humming it? So I was like, well, the piano notes make sounds, so why don't I try that? So then I played the notes, correlating it with the sounds that I was imagining and hearing in my brain, and thus I played a little jingle of He's a Pirate by ear on the piano. And that's when my parents were like, whoa, this is something that we gotta consider. So I started going to some like piano lessons. I never really, it was really hard for me to even get engaged with it at the time though. Like I just kept wanting to like play what I wanted to play, I guess, and that's kind of where my love for writing songs started to come in, because I was like, oh, this might sound good for me to play. So I started doing that, and then I fast forward when I'm like in fourth grade. I started getting involved with the arts a lot in my elementary school and within the middle school programs. So I jumped in and joined not I joined theater, started to develop a love for musicals and my voice as an instrument. So I started to learn voice, and I joined the orchestra as a viola player. So I played viola and throughout all of middle school and high school. And over time, as I've been singing in musicals primarily, I was like, hey, why don't I join choir? So I joined choir, and started to fall in love with choral music and uh, singing through that. I joined a barbershop quartet when I was in high school. I
Sweet.
was in a couple of stuff with the viola, and yeah, a lot of big orchestra stuff, a lot of big choir stuff, and I got to a point, of course, where I just kept writing stuff. Th- I learned how to use GarageBand when I was like a freshman. No, not even a freshman. Like I made some like uh pre. I don't know if you've used GarageBand, but they have like the pre samples, like the loops.
Mhm.
Like I started playing with that a little bit when I was younger, uh, and it started sounding good. And then through that, I started to make my own actual like beats and my own little tunes with different instruments. And then I was like, hey, I feel like I understand it enough where I want to actually do something for someone. So I reached out to shout out to him, filmmaker named Jameson England, of 4-3 Films. And I was like, hey, could I score one of your short films that you're doing? He's like, I mean, all the ones I'm doing right now are kind of done, but I got another one that you could try out. I really like some of the ideas you've sent me. So that's how I landed my first project. It's called Death by a Thousand Cuts. It was unreleased, still is. Good news is we're finally releasing it as sort of like a tribute,
Hmm.
which is going to be cool to kind of like look back on it. But anyways, I did that for like 2 years, and through doing that, because the film was like reshot, rewritten multiple times, I kind of did other projects, got through high school, um, and my friend, shout out to her, Julia Gaskin, she got me into MuseScore. She was like, "This is the notation program I use. It's free. It has great sounds." And I was like, "Dude, this is like really advanced for a free software." And I still use MuseScore. I use MuseScore for all the projects that I've done. I used it for Liberty. I used it for Heroes of the Galactic War. Trying to experiment with other ones, but that's kind of my main right now. But fast forward, that's where I am. So throughout all of my school years, I've learned to participate in the choir. I've learned how to use my voice. I've learned the viola. I've learned uh, piano. I've gotten more skilled with it, and I started writing my own stuff. So take that, and then that is everything that I did up until For Liberty. And what led me to score, I'm just going to really talk about For Liberty specifically, because For Liberty is unlike anything that I've done before, like uh, up to that point. So there was nothing like For Liberty. It was all like, oh, this is a short film, this is a small thing. And then For Liberty was like, here is a giant animated masterpiece uh, that has a huge community backing behind it, with support. So what happened with that was I was just looking for bigger projects than the ones I was doing now. And in my mind, initially, I didn't really want to do any more fan films, because I feel like I didn't want, in my head, I didn't want to be known as like the fan film guy, the guy who just does scores for like other IPs that that are all fan based. But then I got into I graduated, and then I learned, I was like, I just got to do as much that I can in order to get more opportunities, in order to find new creative outlets. And that's when that's when I kind of like killed that mindset of not wanting to do more fan films. So in my head, I was like, what fan film would I want to do? And then I wasn't really thinking about it. I sat down and I was like, I'm gonna run a game of Helldivers. And I heard ba 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 ba, and I was like, dang, what if I did a Helldivers thing?
Hmm.
So I was like searching online, like upcoming Helldivers fan films, upcoming this, and that's how I discovered Plot Coalition, and that's how I got involved with For Liberty.
Yeah, there's actually a lot of similarities between how all you guys started and how I started. Honestly, there's there's quite a bit. But I kind of started. I originally wanted to do basketball. That was my thing. As dumb as that may sound now, um, but basketball was kind of my thing. I really wanted to do that for a little while, and by a little while I mean like I was still in elementary school and stuff like that, and then I think around 2015 I ended up just not doing that. I just ended up just stopping basketball. And I had been playing trumpet for about a year at that point in my public schooling, the band. Um, and I did not like it. I honestly didn't like playing trumpet up until like my junior year of college. Honestly, even though I played trumpet all throughout middle school, all throughout high school, did marching band all throughout the first couple of years of college, just didn't like it at all. Um, uh, and which is funny because I got into music and I still didn't like it. But yeah, I had been into trumpet for about a year, and then 2015 happened, and I found this kind of answers I think one of your questions that you have for me, Owen. But this fits in really well, so I'm just gonna say it here. But I ended up finding this song called "Forbidden Voices" by Martin Garrix, who is a big EDM producer. He's not maybe not quite as big as he was, but he's still pretty massive. I mean, he's like, I feel like if you're in the EDM world, I mean, for a while there he dominated it. So I think most people probably know who he is in that world. But I got into writing music through, similarly to you guys. I found a program called Loop Labs, which was just a free online thing, and I'd write music that way. And then after that, I found another program called Soundation, which was a little bit more advanced. I actually started learning how to use piano roll and stuff like that. And then eventually got into FL Studio, and I did EDM music up until about 2019, I think, or 2018, and then I kind of ended up doing like pop music and like indie pop music for a while, hilariously enough. And so with the EDM, I was already learning the electronic side of it, and then that part of it, I started learning the more, writing some string stuff, writing, piano and the more organic elements of writing. And then I mean, I'd always been a fan of film music for the longest time. I mean, whenever you first like start getting into soundtrack music, like I feel like most people are just so in love with like Hans Zimmer and John Williams. And then in 2020, I started getting my first jobs with that. There's this guy called Halo VFX who he actually works at Industrial Light and Magic as a VFX guy, but he on the side does fan films. He has his own little Halo series called Charity Falls that he does, and I got on the second episode of that, and I got to do music for that, and that was really cool because it just looks. I mean, he works for Industrial Light and Magic, and they do the VFX for Star Wars and Marvel, and it's like so naturally. I mean, it's gonna look pretty good. And so that kind of launched me into scoring. And that same year, I got a job with this game called Dark Fracture, which is being published by Feardemic, who's owned by Bloober Team, who is starting to blow up a little bit more in the gaming world. They did the Silent Hill 2 remake that came out recently. They came out with Chronos: The New Dawn last year, coming out with the DLC for that. And so that's all connected. And I did a horror game called Dark Fracture, which still isn't out. But that was my first experience writing a video game score. And that kind of led to me writing music for console games. And so I have done a few of those, and then just after that, after I did a couple games, I'm still doing some here and there, but the work is not as consistent as animation, and so I kind of did also piggyback on the how I found Plot Coalition. Which is also a part of this next question, is I found him in, I'm trying to remember, I think it was September of last year. So it was nearing end of production, or nearing the end of For Liberty for the most part. They ended up delaying it a month because I think it was supposed to come out in October. But I got on really, really late. And I got in because I showed him some of my Halo music, because I also did a lot of Halo fan stuff. And so, yeah, I kind of got in last minute with that Halo stuff, because in my mind it just kind of like, I don't know, the Helldivers music and Halo music, I feel like Halo and Star Wars are like a perfect combination. That is what Helldivers music is. I feel like those two, I feel like it just all works together, and I feel like pairs well together. And so that's why I showed him that, and that ended up getting me on For Liberty, and then which led me to get to Heroes on the Galactic War and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I wanted to do basketball, and I didn't do basketball.
Well, you're still
I'm still balling out.
You're still balling out.
So I was really into it.
That's fair.
But I think for the most part, I feel like we all kind of answered the second question, which was how we got to start working with Plot. Kind of moving on from that, whenever you guys worked on the music for Liberty, how did you approach writing that music? What sort of things did you introduce that maybe hasn't been a part of like Helldivers music in the first game, or maybe the second game? And what aspects of those two games did you want to keep in the music? I'm curious to see what you guys did with all that. Val, I'm wondering what you did.
Yeah. So really cool that we all kind of started in the EDM sphere first.
Yeah,
and
that's you
moved
said
over
that.
to more.
You said that, and then Diana said that. I was like, oh my gosh, we're all one person.
Yeah, we're
it's very
little.
accessible.
All one person.
Try.
Me and Diana both started in 2015. It's like, bro, we're all the same. We're all the same
We're
person.
literally all.
We're
the
all
same
we're
person.
interviewing. We're literally just interviewing ourselves. You know what I mean? That's what this
mirror.
podcast is.
And we all
The Mirror
look like
Podcast.
It's the Spider-Man meme. We're all just pointing at each other.
It's you. It's you.
But yeah, for the scene that I had privilege of scoring, Caleb originally wanted like a more piratey feel to it, akin to like the first Helldivers game with the theme there. That was like the first thing that he linked me, and then I was like, oh, yeah, I can do that. And so first draft, that's what I did. And like I only had very like blocky portions of these scenes, so I didn't really know what was going on. And then like he rendered the Eagle 1 scene, and I was like, I immediately knew what I was gonna put there. I was gonna do like a guitar fucking slide into the Helldivers 2 theme, because that just seemed topical. And then as he kept sending me like updated versions of it, I was like, oh, okay, cool. So I need to go from like happy to sad to happy to sad again, all in the span of like a minute and 30 seconds. So I was like, I messed around with it a couple of times, tried some like originality to it, like kind of in keeping with Wilbert's like theme in the second game, because I know this is a Helldivers 2 movie. But yeah, so after like my 10th watch of the scene, I was like hit by like, okay, well, if the automatons are here, I'm just gonna use the automaton theme here, because that makes the most sense. Like, how else? Like, whenever I approach like scoring scenes, it's typically like I'm trying to add to the scene. I'm not basically like trying to have my like music take over the scene. I want to like help inform and help make the audience feel about like what basically the characters are supposed to be feeling there. So obviously, like right at the start, there's the Helldivers 1 theme with the Skull Divers and the veterans of the First Galactic War. So I was like, okay, I'll throw in the first Galactic War there, just like how Caleb wanted, and as it was like sprinkled out throughout the rest of the film as well. So I was like, oh, cool, that kind of works. And then I can key change into the automaton theme, and well, at least one of them. And I picked the one that I like the most. Uh, and from there, I was like, wait a second, it kind of like meshes with like the beginning of a cup of a cup of liberty, which is like the main Helldivers 2 theme. And so I was like, okay, now that I have like the baseline set up, it ends with the mutated and an automata-fied Biotitan rising up from the ground. So I was like, well, it only makes sense to use the Terminate theme here. So I was like, okay, I have everything set up for me, so I'll just do that. And I just settled on remaking each of these iconic themes. But yeah, I pretty much wrote the entire song around that one moment of Eagle One screeching in, because I knew that would be like a super iconic scene, and then it'll be like super duper cool. Um, but yeah, uh, but yeah, actually at the time I didn't even know like the skull divers were supposed to be the veterans. They're just like these like blocky T-posing people in the mist. I was like, I don't really know what's going on here, but apparently they're supposed to be happy. But yeah, during the guitar solo like improv section of the Helldivers 2 theme, I kind of like timed the pinch harmonics to our heroes getting like the MG before like quickly pivoting to the Terminate theme. But I was like, that's kind of cool. Like, you know, I'll do like a pinch harmonic here, because that kind of like a lot of times whenever like characters get like upgrades or anything in like a video game, there'll be like a cool little guitar riff or something. So like I'll do that there too. And but yeah, also during the Terminate theme, it was kind of a little bit more it was a little more minute, but I did make like a synth in there just to like show, oh hey, look, this isn't like actually just a Terminid, you know, it's robotic now. It's a robo Terminid. Um but yeah, just as like a little sound cue that it's mutated. And then also I pretty much uh end the scene with like kind of a question of like, ooh, are the heroes going to survive this? Because like I literally only got that small scene where like the ending shot was the Terminate coming out of the Biotitan coming out of the ground. So I had no idea how it was supposed to go outside of like parts of the script. But then again, I had like a pretty old version of the script at that point, so I didn't really know like what had changed or anything. So I just went based on what I was given. But yeah, for like a minute and 30, I think I might have overthought a lot for like such a tiny moment in the movie, but I think it turned out pretty good overall. But yeah, as I said before, like the extended version has like the most amount of views on my entire channel combined. So I think it turned out pretty good.
Yeah, I think, trying to remember who. I know that there's someone else on the team that's very vocal about it. Was it? I think it might have been Ben. I feel like he was very vocal about how good it was.
Oh, Dabster said
Was
he
it
really,
Dabster?
really loved
Okay.
it. Yeah.
I knew it was probably one of those two. One of
those people.
One of those guys.
What do you mean, you people?
I mean, you people. But what about you, Diana? How about you?
Well, I first approached the music for the movie as I got really vague instructions as to how he wanted things to be done for the parts that I was supposed to score. For example, one of the ones that I remember the most was there's a scene in the movie where they just finished fighting some kind of cyborg bug or something, and then they see the automatons arriving at the distance, and then they finished. I don't remember what they were doing. And then they throw an orbital barrage at them, and everything is exploding, and they just raise their fist and salute the explosions. I had that, and Plot just told me I want the Super Earth national anthem to play in this part, and that was all. I didn't know really what to do because I was hearing the actual national anthem they put on Spotify, like the actual one. I was trying to get to make an idea, and then I decided to just play the game and listen to how the music in the game actually feels like. What's the experience for a player that is living those songs? Because I mean, that's the people that were gonna watch the movie, the players. So I wanted to make something that felt familiar and still cool to them.
Mm-hmm.
And then I went into a mission. I was playing the one of those defend the flag ones. I was fighting some bots, and I made sure to stand next to the flag because I noticed that the song that the flag plays is slightly different than the one in the national anthem. Because in the national anthem it's like just vocals and just stuff. The one in the tiny flag, even though it has a ton of filters, has like more instruments, more trumpets, more focus on the feeling of it, feeling of the flag rising, feeling majestic and stuff. And that's when I realized I had the idea. Even in game I threw the same barrage just to visualize it, and then I found the vision. I went back to my program now that I had the storyboard video, and that's what I was using to work with. And I began trying to sculpt how the Helldivers, that part of the Helldivers national anthem sounds for that part. And I managed to hit it, and I was like, no, that's not quite what it feels like. This is what it sounds like, but that's not what it feels like. But because I thought maybe just the action of the game made it feel even better. I had no idea. I added a choir to that part so that you could hear like a ton of voices, like if they were singing the national anthem. I added more trumpets, I added more, more strings and everything, just so that it was so much more fuller and more grandiose, because that was the objective of that scene. And then I had the final part of that scene, just the part where everything is exploding and everything is like, wow, explosions, the power of Super Earth and whatever. But then I still had the beginning part to do, and I just decided, much like Valk, well, there's automatons here, might as well try the automaton theme. I just made a strange kind of automaton replica song, kind of, or something more along the lines of, it has the vibe of the automatons, even though it's not quite there. And I stitched them together through composition, just making sure like both songs fed into one another. And I wound up with this massive hype build up towards the anthem that made the scene feel like building up to the massive explosions and the massive hype and the might of Super Earth and whatever. Caleb later told me that he didn't know you could mix both themes into one song and make them sound good, which was really fun. For another scene that I quite remember, I was told I wanted to sound like the last part of the main theme of the game, of Cup of Liberty. Because in that part, like there's the strings are flaring out. There's so much metal. There's so much brass. There's so much. It's the for the part where they are like about to drop for the last time together, party, and then there's this whole quiet but important conversation in the ship before they drop, that I try to make the music quiet at that part mostly, so that it wasn't distracting from the conversation, except that when they said the important things, like, because you're a hell diver, the music could play like a hint of the main theme to just keep building up that inspiration, you know. So that's how I went about it. I tried to focus more on the feel and making it feel like how it does in the game, like feeding the idea that the game wants to share, like this grunt fantasy, as they call it. And just building into that, following the vibe that people are used to expecting from this game, just to make sure that they enjoy it as the game does, as they do the game.
What about you, Owen, Mr. Owen?
All right. So, this was a very interesting score to approach. First off, I never had, at least with any of the other projects that I've worked on before, the opportunity to share collaboration with other composers. This was kind of the first time, one of my only projects, at least, besides Heroes, where I've gotten the chance to kind of like co-compose with multiple people. So the biggest challenge, at least for me, was trying to make sure I was I mean, we all have our different approaches when it comes to like making music, and we all have our different approaches when it comes to scoring. So it was kind of really trying to keep the music consistent in terms of feel, with kind of having hints of uh, Carson, your feeling with music, what you like put into it, and Velk, and Diana, kind of like what you guys put into it. So that was the biggest challenge for me, and it was kind of a learning experience to kind of like play with the different sounds and tones and everything of the different themes and keep the music consistent. But when it comes to specifically scoring it, I mean, first off, it was a lot of fun. Some of the things that I really wanted to, at least for the first Helldivers related thing that I was scoring, I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna go too crazy. That was kind of my mindset. I wanted to keep true to all of the different themes from Johann and Wilbert. uh Johann specifically was a big thing because I've never played Helldivers 1. I never grew up with it. I never grew up with Helldivers 2. That's something that came out when I was a lot older and I kind of picked up. But when it comes to For Liberty, the title to me was called For Liberty, a Helldivers film. This was going to take elements from both Helldivers 2 and 1, and it was about Helldivers as a whole, the brand, the umbrella of it. So I was like, okay, I'm going to take from the original, the OG, uh, along with Helldivers 2, and kind of weave those together. So that was my approach when it came to that aspect, with the different themes that I picked out. Like if there was if I was scoring for Terminids, I was gonna have the some of the Terminid themes. And when I was scoring for automatons, I didn't really do that, but if I were to, I would have used like automaton themes. I kind of experimented with the feeling of the scene as well, whether or not the Helldivers 1 theme would work better and the Helldivers 2 theme, because I think the Helldivers 1 theme sounds more like a victory anthem, sounds like a like pomp and circumstance type march feeling, while the Helldivers 2 theme feels more like an action movie. So it was kind of like figuring out the different tidbits. I know there's the scene where the the Froyo soldier first is going up after talking with the school kids. He's going up into the ship, and that kind of felt like a grand moment for him, at least. So that's why I used the Helldivers 1 theme for that. And then when it came to like like the biggest the biggest challenge, to one of the other biggest challenges, I keep talking about big challenges, that's good though,
It is.
I like challenges. They help me grow as a composer, and they help me to be aware of the different things within the field. But a really big challenge was Battle Hymn of the Republic. That was the earliest thing that Caleb came to me about was, hey, so I have a really big vision for Battle Hymn of the Republic being utilized within this film. And I was like, oh, okay. So I've heard the song, of course. I didn't know it by name. It's like one of those songs I'm like, oh, I know the tune, but I don't know. So I listened to it and I was like, I know this, but this is very different from what I usually do. This is like completely different. So arranging it was really I was working at the time I was working off of my old computer, and my old computer started crashing a lot in that time period. So Battle Hymn was a process because one, it was hard to score, but two, I kept losing my save data because MuseScore kept crashing over and over again. So that was a whole thing. And I know when the movie came out November, so I had my new computer then, so I had to like transfer all the files over. But that was a big thing. With that though, I wanted to keep it was still an action scene, so I was very inspired by I don't know if you've seen or heard like Hans Zimmer's Lone Ranger score.
Yeah.
I was very inspired by his William Tell uh arrangement for that because it didn't sound like the basic William Tell overture. It sounded like William Tell overture as an action scene. That's kind of what I was going for with this Battle Hymn of the Republic arrangement. Uh, so there was that. Otherwise, most of the For Liberty score, I kind of just was playing it safe a little bit. Uh, I was giving it my flair, my Owen Gudex flair that I give most of my songs, but I was also playing it safe because I was finally doing a Helldivers thing, and I wanted to do my own interpretation of the Helldivers theme. If it's okay, because I also are you good if I talk a little bit about heroes?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. That's. I think that there's no better time for us to also talk about that a little bit.
Because I mean that's something I find so fascinating is my approach to For Liberty was so different to my approach to Heroes the Galactic War, mainly because with For Liberty I was playing it safe and I was like, hey, I'm doing a Helldivers thing, so I'm gonna have the dun 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 and I'm gonna have the du, 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 like the themes. But with Heroes of the Galactic War, every episode is a different feeling. And I felt it was going to be wrong to just have the Helldivers themes in every single episode be the same exact thing. So that is why I told the team, I told you guys, and I remember all of our conversations about the time signature and everything. Thank you, Valk.
Hell yeah.
Right. But I wanted to treat it as I was scoring the third Helldivers game, like a hypothetical Helldivers 3. That was my approach. I felt like you reusing well, they're so good, Wilbert and Johann's themes. Like I felt like if I were to just keep reusing them, it was gonna get super old. Even as within different styles, because there's been hundreds of different like arrangements on YouTube of those themes. Like I'm sure there's like a medieval arrangement of like the Helldivers theme.
That
Helldivers
literally
2.
popped up for me yesterday while I was doom scrolling. A tavern.
Right.
It was a tavern version of Helldivers too. I was like, oh my gosh.
Tavern version. Like, so I knew like this has already been done before. And even for Helldivers 1, I'm sure it's been done for Helldivers 1. I haven't done a deep dive into that, but that game's been out for so long. Like, so with this, I was really struggling with the approach because it was hard to do something other than the masterful themes that Johann and Wilbert wrote. And I knew I was like, this, I mean, I still really wanted to like treat this as like a huge like opportunity, of course, because it is.
Mhm.
And so I remember, I think the idea came to me when I was dog sitting over Christmas, and we were still talking about it. There were early things, and I don't think it was official by then. Like Caleb wanted to move ahead with Heroes of the Galactic War, but
Mhm.
he told me about it, and instantly I kept telling him, I was like, I'm gonna write a theme. I'm gonna write a theme. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna challenge myself. And then he kept texting me. He was like, okay, but it's not official yet, so we're not gonna let's like um don't
Don't put too much into it, I guess, or something.
yeah, don't put too much into it. Don't enjoy your Christmas break, whatnot. There's other stuff that I know you have to do. But I was like, okay, yep. I was kind of not listening.
Yeah.
In my head, I just kept, it was just this idea, this light bulb that I was waiting to go off. And I remember just be dog sitting for my friend, and I'm just sitting at his piano at his house because I'm like staying at his house, and I'm just like trying to get different feels, and especially with episode 3, I know with the jungle theme, this is kind of what I've been doing, but I'm like beating the rhythm of a potential time signature on the piano, because I was like, I don't want to do 4/4. I don't want to do 5/4. But I really like Velk's ideas for the time signature with doing something new, and I was like, well, I mean, each Helldivers theme was a different time signature, so why don't I do that? So that's kind of where that came into play, but I think the approach itself, then once I figured out the theme for Heroes of the Galactic War was, I think Caleb was going to use the same song for each, or at least the same audio file for all the intros. And
Yeah.
like, well, every episode's a different feeling, so why don't I just have different feeling songs? Like, why not? Like, I think it makes sense.
Mhm.
And I think it get like, again, I think it would get redundant if it were to just be the same thing over and over again. So I'm saying that is because I'm working on, we're still working on Heroes of the
Yep.
Galactic War. But that is my approach to that, is uh treat it as Helldivers 3, have hints, of course, to Helldivers 1 and 2, because I know that's what Wilbur did with the Helldivers 2 score. But that is the vast difference between For Liberty and Heroes of the Galactic War. And I'm really like curious, because I mean, at this point we're just working on Heroes of the Galactic War, but even if there were to be more Helldivers stuff I were to be working on beyond that, like I'm interested to see where that goes, because you know, like you know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
I'm interested to see where that goes and see how the approach changes and the other ideas. But yeah, I mean, to sum it up short and sweet, yeah, that's the difference between the two. And I find that fascinating, at the very least, just the difference, the vast difference between one approach to the score to base like the not direct sequel, but
Mhm.
you know,
Yeah,
continuate
adjacent to the film.
adjacent.
But in terms of For Liberty and how I kind of approached it, I feel like with so many other, since I've done so many other fan projects, I'm trying to remember all of them. I mean, I've done Star Wars, I've done some Batman, I primarily have done Star Wars, but I've done some Batman, done some Halo. So it's like I've had a few years of experience doing those kinds of music. And even before I started doing scoring for animations, I kind of made those styles of songs like in the style of that anyways to try and get practice for it. With Helldivers, that wasn't the case at all, because my first ever time doing Helldivers music, or trying to, was For Liberty. That was my first ever time because I had been a fan of the second. I'm an Xbox player, so I didn't get to play it whenever it came out. But I thought that it looked so cool. I mean, it's pretty much any person that like enjoys Star Wars or Halo. Like I said, I feel like that game is the perfect blend of those two things. And so for me, it was like that was the game, but I couldn't play it because on PlayStation. And so that was a big bummer. I also didn't grow up playing the first one. I still have not played it because it sounds like it's pretty difficult. So I didn't get to play the first one. The second one was coming out in August of last year, which is whenever For Liberty was about to come out, and so I really got into the Helldivers kick again. I typically kind of stalk I kind of stalk people whenever I'm trying to find projects. I'll like type up like hashtag like indie gamer hashtag Helldivers or something, and kind of like stalk people's pages and kind of like look through and be like, do they already have a composer? Should I like waste my time asking? And I think that I did see something about there being music already for Liberty, but I was like, you know what? It seems like it's going to be like an hour long or close to that anyways. It's like, I don't know, might as well. And so, like I said, I got on that project pretty late. As to how I approached that, like I said, I didn't really have a lot of experience making Helldivers music specifically. I kind of, I wrote, I kind of recreated songs, specifically the Extraction song from Helldivers 2, since that's the one that I like. That is the game that got me interested in the universe, and so that's the music that I primarily reference. And most of the things that I do, I try and do Helldivers 1 stuff as well. But just because Helldivers 2 was like my gateway into it, and as I've said a bajillion times, I think that what Wilbert did in that score was phenomenal. I do think that it's one of the best original themes of recent times. Ross Draginza's extra score that he did was also really great. He did the national anthem, and he did, what's that other one called? It's a march. Oh, March of the Helldivers. He did that one, which is, I think it plays in the ship. I believe it's like one of the songs that just plays in the ship, and it's just, I was such a big fan of those, and so I recreated sections of the Extraction theme and tried to get the overall feel of it down. And then from there, I kind of deconstructed it. And the first thing that I think I did was right after the quote unquote main character, the person that we misdirected everyone to think was the main character in all the trailers, he dies. And there's a battle sequence after that, and the veteran is introduced. And so that kind of deconstructed version of the Extraction theme, where I kind of rearranged it or I like rewrote it and stuff. I kind of used that for that battle section, and then I got one of my buddies, because I was still in college at the time, so I could still use the recording studio that we had there. And so I got my buddy Isaac. His name is IP Schaefer. I had him do drum set, and so I recorded all the drums. I recorded some. I can't remember how many brass I recorded, but I think trombones and trumpets I recorded. I played trumpet on it as well. I kind of blended that with the sample libraries that I tend to use. And so I kind of used like I said, like a kind of deconstructed version of the Extraction theme for most of that battle sequence. But there's still that side of me where I started again in EDM, and so synths and kind of sound design is really big and something that I love to do. And scores like Tenet, anything Mick Gordon does, I mean, like just all that kind of stuff, all the synths and all the sound design is something that I'm such a big fan of doing. And so incorporating that was really important to me. It made it feel more like me, while also sounding cool, and has the general essence of what Helldivers music is. I think that'll be good and that'll work. But as I was saying before about the For Liberty having millions of views, and Galactic of War, Heroes of the Galactic War doing so well, was there a moment for any of you guys where you had like a pinch me moment, or like you were like, this is kind of crazy that this is happening, or any interactions or anything like that again was like a pinch me moment? What about you, Val?
Um, I think like a really, really impactful moment that made me realize just like how far our project had reached was when I had met up with uh, both Caleb and Alexis, and she was Mrs. Coalition was telling me about like how just like some random lady at her doctor's office had like actually recognized like the stickers that I'd made for everybody and for the entire team for Liberty and like she like the this random lady just like recognized like one of the characters that were like the stickers. And I was like, whoa, that's pretty cool. And then she was like, I didn't tell her like who I was or anything, but it was like really cool that like instead of being like, oh, that's a Helldiver, it was like,
Mhm.
oh, that's from the movie For Liberty.
Mhm.
And I thought that was like really, really sweet. Another one was like one of the medics from the unit that I'm in Texas. He freaked out for like 10 minutes when he realized that like I was like a voice actress in For Liberty. And he was like, "Oh yeah, say the line, say the line." It was like, "Say the line, Bart." And I thought that was like really cool. And then like he freaked out again for like another 5 minutes when he like realized that I had like also written this Killing is Her Business. Um, but yeah, I hadn't thought that like it would be that far reaching, like 1.5 million views, whatever. And yeah, I didn't really think that it was that big of a deal until like people in my like direct circle that I knew were like having interactions like that. Um, but yeah, those little moments right there, it just like makes me really happy that we've been able to make like such a positive impact on the Helldivers 2 community as a whole. I just think it's really cool that we've been able to make something so stand out and like so uniting that everybody is like, oh yeah, that's really cool. I really like that. And I think that's like as a spirit, as composers, I think that also like really cements the idea that like basically we did our job.
Mhm.
Because like, a movie isn't just like the voice actors or the actors or the scene itself. Like music plays such a big part in how like you inform the audience how they're supposed to like basically feel in that moment.
Mhm.
And like Diana had like a super like that one scene um of Polar telling Issa Cruz that like because you're a Helldiver, like that music right there, phenomenal. I love that. That scene was like just the right amount of like emotional depth needed in the music to help inform the scene. Like without music there would have been completely different.
Mhm.
Thank
And
you.
yeah, same thing like when uh during like the veteran scene, like the big explosion and then he lands and there's like that guitar riff from you, Carson. Like that was
Mhm.
like super cool, like phenomenal as well. Like we all like did such a great job. Like we all understood the assignment
Mhm.
basically. And those are like two of the moments that like really stood out to me. And then yeah, like another thing was like when Caleb went to um like the little meet and greet, like the Arrowhead convention thing in Boston
Mhm.
earlier. Yeah, that the like he like the dev team themselves like invited him to go to hang out with them for like I think it was like 2 days or something.
Mhm.
But yeah, I just thought that was like super cool. And yeah, I'm just happy to be on a team of like such supportive and awesome people from like the other voice actors like Kevin, he's like a phenomenal dude.
Mhm.
And then, yeah, like you guys, the composers, like I love being able to continue to collaborate with you guys and like just like talk shop every now and then. And then obviously like the super cool, amazing 3D team as well.
Mhm.
Like all of us contributing all our parts, like it definitely makes the whole wagon go. But yeah, I'm just excited and always like happy and honored to help be a part of this like amazing team.
Mhm. Also, it's almost at 1.6. I just checked. It's almost at 1.6 million. So that's pretty
Oh,
cool.
1.6.
It's almost there.
Whoa.
It's almost there, baby.
For
It's
real, for
also
real.
it is also really cool that was it Viper? I think the voice actor for Viper from
Yeah.
Titanfall,
Oh,
from
hell
Titanfall
Yeah, Evan
2.
Boyle.
He was in the film, which that was crazy because I didn't find that out until after I had joined. I was like, wait, wait a second, you're telling me that Viper's in this? I thought that was really sweet. But yeah, what about you, Diana? Was there a moment, a pinch me moment for you?
Well, yeah, I've had two major pinch me moments. The first one, the most recent one was when I was called for this podcast today, because I was like, oh my god, they want to hear about me because I did something. Like, it was like huge. It was at least huge for me to be called back. As for the other one, it happened like I remember when the movie first released. I remember I called my boyfriend over. We watched it together. We enjoyed it. Many laughs. It was cool. It was like, well, launch day. It was sitting on a cool 300,000 views or something on launch. I remember. First of all, that one was shocking. I was like, my god, I can't believe I was part of this. A lot of time later, my boyfriend calls me up. He tells me it has 1.5 million views. That was the moment when I realized the scale of the impact, the scale that the project had. Unlike Val here, because I'm in Mexico, not many people know Helldivers, so I didn't really have the experience of being able to tell people I work in a movie for a game, you know. But still, I'd say those were my most pinch me moments,
Okay.
Hell yeah.
Did you have any, Owen?
Yeah. So it didn't hit for a very long time. I don't know what it was. It was just kind of like I was just kind of treating it like another project. Like I started it in I started for Liberty nearing the end of my high school senior year. So I was doing it then, and I was just kind of like, okay, a small little Helldivers film. And even when that official trailer dropped, when the views were like racking up like crazy, I never like I don't know what it was. Just nothing was like clicking for me. And I knew the scale, but like I didn't feel it yet for some reason. I don't know what it was. And then it wasn't until when I was watching it, there were a couple of things, and they kind of like mixed together to like give me the feeling. The first thing were the live reactions to the film when the film was put live, when it premiered, and all the people that were saying like, "Oh my gosh, it's the Helldivers 1! It's Helldivers 1 music! Helldivers 1! Cool, that's so cool! Wait, oh my gosh!" And I was just sitting there. The film premiered when I was in Valencia, near the start of my freshman year of college, and I did a watch with we did a watch party with some of the people on campus, and then I went to bed, and I was just like, okay, cool, that's neat that these people are noticing my stuff. That hasn't really happened before. And then the Q&A was another thing. They're like, I'm sitting, it's like 4 a.m. where I'm at, and there's like we're doing a Q&A on Heroes of the Galactic War, and I got like school the next day, but I'm like, I don't care. And then just the fact that I was a part of that so late at night, so early in the morning, and there were so many people watching it was another big thing. And the final thing that clicked for me, or some other stuff, I just keep thinking of it, the reactions on YouTube. Like there are a couple reactors, and that has never happened to me. I've never had like another channel react to my stuff or anything that I was a part of, at least. And then that was huge. and them talking about the music. They're like, this music is really good. I swear there was one reactor that was like, oh, this was just pulled right from the game, right? And then the comments were like, nope, this was entirely original. Which even that comment meant a lot to me, because the dude thought it came from the game. Like, that's how good of a job we did, guys. Like, that's amazing. And there was my mom, she's a teacher, and she like teaches like for like little kids at like an elementary school. And she came home one day and was like, I had a couple kids really like Helldivers that said they were watching this for Liberty movie. And like one of the moms texted my mom and it was like, oh wait, I saw Owen's name in the credits. He did this. So there was that. And then that was the biggest one for me. It was the fact that one of her students was watching Helldivers like videos on YouTube or whatever and watched for Liberty, and then knew me because Gudex, and was like, mom, check this out. This is my teacher's last name. And then sent it to my mom, who showed me, and I was like, oh my gosh, that is so cute. And I was just recently in a game, Helldivers game, and people were talking about For Liberty, and I'm just sitting there like,
Oh, that's funny.
with my, I don't even have a microphone because it's like broken right now, and I gotta get a new one. So I'm just sitting there with no mic, and I just keep hearing these guys talk about For Liberty. I'm like, I can't say anything. This is awesome, though.
That's so good.
Yeah.
For me, it was not to sound like, I don't know, like a freaking weirdo, but since I've done so many projects, I mean, that have done some pretty decent numbers before. At the start of it, it was like I was more so just enamored by the team itself and what we did, as we all were. But I think what led me to, well, there's yet again, kind of like you guys, there's a few different things. The first one being, so I obviously, sadly, have not gotten to make music my full-time job yet. So I'm, kind of working a temporary job right now. And I was working, and one of the people working, they were talking about Helldivers, because obviously Helldivers is a big game. Maybe I think it's probably Sony's biggest multiplayer game, at least the one that's stuck around longest. And they were talking about Helldivers, and I can't remember if a new Warbond had just come out, but I think a new Warbond was coming out soon, or... Oh, no, I want to say it was Python Commandos, potentially. I think it had come out, or was about to come out, something along those lines. And they were talking about that, and then that led to one of them being like, oh yeah, and there's this fan film that came out recently. And I'm not gonna lie, I wasn't in the conversation at all, but I was like, I in my mind, I'm like really curious. I'm like, what's the name of it? Like, what's the name of this film? He's like, oh, it was called like For Liberty. I was like, I'm not gonna lie, I was like, hey, I did music for that. I fully went in on that. And I was like, hey, I did music for that. He's like, really? I was like, yep. And then since he hadn't seen it, he doesn't know anything about it other than the fact that it's out or whatever. He was like, oh, that's cool. And then we just kind of got back to work. Nothing really happened. But just the fact that someone knew what it was, just at my job, I was like, that's really cool. Like that's pretty sick. And then another time was for a little bit kind of annoyed Wilbert here and there, because I mean he did Star Wars Outlaws, I do a lot of Star Wars projects, and so I'd like show him stuff occasionally or like at him on Twitter or whatever. But it wasn't until For Liberty when I did the same thing as I did with some of the Star Wars things. I just kind of annoyed him, and I was like, hey, did some Helldivers music. And I sent him the film, and I mean, he was a massive fan of the film. He thought that it was really cool. He was a big fan of story elements and everything, and it led to me getting to talk to him a little bit more. It led to me getting to meet him in person at GDC, which was super, super cool. That all that has happened because of For Liberty. And Heroes is doing really well now too, and that's really cool as well. I've not had anyone just in the wild know what that is quite yet, but it's cool. It's cool to know that that's doing so well, and For Liberty as well. I have just whenever I play Helldivers occasionally, to kind of piggyback off of your story, Owen. No one has talked about it before in the game, but I've definitely gone into not voice chat, but the text chat, and I've just typed the words For Liberty. And that's 1000% with the hope that someone's like, hey, that's a fan film. Just to see how many people would like recognize it. And I can confidently say that literally no one has known what I'm talking about. but I definitely have still tried. I've gone in text chat, I'm like, For Liberty, and then I'm just sitting there hoping, and I'm like, maybe someone's gonna say something about it. But I'm definitely ridiculous with that, and I'm definitely stupid with that. With occasionally
that's when you
doing
realize
that.
you're playing with Caleb online.
Yeah.
It's like someone from the crew.
That'd be so funny. But yeah, so I think those were the biggest moments for me. And yeah, I mean, the fact that it's at almost 1.6 now is still pretty nutty. And it's really cool that some of the people that have seen it, and that's really cool. But I have one last general question for everyone. But I kind of wanted to give an opportunity for you guys to kind of technically self-promote, kind of. But if there's any project that you guys have going on, first of all, I'm curious about it because I don't know about all the things going on. I know about some things you guys got going on, but also I just wanted to give you guys an opportunity to share what else might be going on, what other projects you got going on. And so, yeah, I'm curious about that. What about you, Val?
Right now, I don't really have too much as far as like actual projects go. But I do once in a while get to voice some silly little Warhammer memes on Instagram.
Yes, you do. Those are great.
Yeah, I love being able to work with Gang Sisters of Battle, and then also Kermie cosplay. I've been able to do a couple of reels for her, which is really fun. She's awesome, super duper sweet. But yeah, those two people. But yeah, now I'm just mostly doing like silly Instagram memes. But yeah, music wise, I'm still like kicking. There's a couple of like other series out there. There's another Machinima series called Life is a Table. I got to write a little song there. We'll see if it makes it into the final cut. But yeah, it's by Buck and it's on YouTube. But yeah, outside of that, just making silly meme songs. Like one of them is basically like a YouTube poop of one of the characters that I voice. But yeah, now I just make silly songs for fun. And I've also asked Caleb to see if like you guys need any help with any other music down the line, and he said he will let me know. So who knows? Maybe in one of the future episodes of Here's a Galactic War, I'll be able to collaborate with you guys again.
Indeed. What about you, Diana?
Well, as for me, I do have a project I'm working on, but it's not ready to share yet. But I'm making a big thing, but it'll be there eventually. That aside, I'm not really working on much. That aside, I'm not really doing anything else. I'm just open to finding other projects to work on. That's all.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Other than Heroes, what else you got going on, Mr. Owen? I know Black Vaccine that just came out, and I think you directed it as well. Direct it, and then obviously music. And me and Val also got to work on one of the songs in that as well. I played the electric guitar, and Val did drum set, and it was pretty cool. Anyways, what else you got? What else you got going on?
Yeah, so Black Vaccine just released. If people watching this don't know what that is, I'll keep this brief. I have my own indie studio called Goldverse Studios, and we've kind of started to, or like not, we didn't just start it, but we're I've been kind of building a cinematic universe of kind of like self-contained stories within it, and then occasionally they'll cross over. But Black Vaccine is a part of that universe. It is the next chapter, and it's kind of a standalone found footage thriller film that it's unscripted, filmed it in Valencia when I was there. It was a lot of fun working on, but there is the soundtrack for that is kind of like ambient soundscape esque. Not really like full on songs, but the one full on song that that is in the film was worked on by myself, Carson, and Valk. So you guys could check that out. That's out now on the Goldverse Studios YouTube channel, and it's out on streaming platforms. Other than that, I am working with Jameson England again on another film. He is doing a Batman film called Beware the Batman. It is basically what if we took the character of the Dark Knight and made a horror movie out of him. That is what it is. So it's like a horror Batman movie that's coming out later this year. I'm doing music for that. I am doing music, yeah, of course, for Heroes of the Galactic War. I am working on this isn't really anything that you're really gonna be able to see like on like YouTube or anything, but I was just commissioned by my school, one of my school orchestras, to write a 10-minute medley suite of music from the musical Les Mis. So I am working on that actively. That is probably my biggest project right now. Other than that, other Goldverse movies I'm going to be working on. So the next film is Robo Knight. That is one that I've been directing and trying to make for a very long time, but I am set to be doing music for that. And I mean, other than that, nothing really comes to mind. There's, of course, other stuff that I'm tapped to work on, but I'm kind of waiting on updates regarding those projects and whether to move forward with music for that. But yeah, so Batman's coming out later this year. If you're in the Boston area in fall 2026 and want to go see this Les Mis live, you can certainly do so because I will be there and it is a live performance. So yeah, that is where I'm at right now.
Sweet. Okay, well, I appreciate you guys coming on. I don't want to take up too much more of your guys' time. I am very excited to hear what else you guys are doing. I'm excited to keep working with Mr. Owen and potentially Val on Heroes. That's going to be really cool, and I hope everyone listening to this is also excited for all that kind of stuff. So thank you guys again for coming on, and I hope eventually it'd be cool to do another one of these later down the line at some point. But yeah, I appreciate you guys for your time. Thank you guys for being on.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
Thank you.